This is the 2024 Code Orange Ford Bronco Raptor with an MSRP of right around $97,000. What do you have over there, Dad?
This is the 2024 Jeep Wrangler 392 with an MSRP as shown today for $94,000.
In today's video, we are going to do a deep dive into the Bronco Raptor and the Wrangler 392 and figure out which one of these $90,000+ Baja Beasts is a better buy. We're going to take them out on the road and drive them, check out the insides and outs, and figure out what they're all about. We need to give a huge shout out to Apple Autos here in Shakopee, Minnesota for supplying us that Wrangler 392 and this Ford Bronco Raptor. If you're interested in purchasing one of these vehicles, be sure to check out the link down in the description below. And while you're doing that, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe to support this father-son team. My name's Austin, this is my dad Todd, and let's get into this.
Austin, before we dive into the details and our opinions on this Raptor and this 392, I think it's first important to note that I don't know that we could have brought you guys some cooler specs in the Velocity blue metallic over here, and then the black with a little, you throw a little gold over black and I start itching a little bit. I get a little excited.
And that red interior is
right.
Nothing to say bad things about. It is gorgeous in there.
We will obviously continue to highlight what we're talking about in the trims as we go through this video. It's kind of fun to look at these, Austin, knowing that they've been out for a couple years now. The dust has settled, the auto market has calmed down. So it's nice to look at these two performance-oriented off-road monsters with kind of a fresh set of eyes.
Before we start getting behind the wheels of these two vehicles and talking about our opinions and thoughts on them, let's go ahead and get the old specs out of the way. Dad, you are standing next to the Wrangler 392, which is a 6.2 liter Hemi V8. How much power is this thing putting out?
Austin, we're right around 470 horsepower, and that lines up with the torque at 470 as well.
Okay.
You go down, you subtract about 52 horsepower, and we come to where the Raptor is. So the big, bad, naturally aspirated V8 does have about 50 more horsepower than the twin turbocharged Raptor.
The Raptor does feature the twin turbocharged EcoBoost 3-liter V6. It does not sound nearly as meaty as the old Wrangler. Go ahead and take a quick listen. Even though the Wrangler over here does feel a whole lot meatier than the Raptor, to my surprise, the Raptor feels just as quick from a roll, if not even quicker, than the Wrangler does. However, from a stop, I think there's no doubt about it, that Wrangler, there's nothing like that experience.
Austin, and the numbers don't lie as well when you're talking about performance and experience for that matter. When we're talking specifically straight line performance, acceleration, stuff like that, there's really a substantial difference. Let's start with the weight. The Wrangler 392 comes in right around 5,200 pounds, while old Porker over there comes in around 5,700 pounds. You bring that back to the fact that it has 50 less horsepower. When we line these two up and take her to 60, we almost have sports car performance at about a 4.9 second 0 to 60 time in the 392 Wrangler. It's going to take about 2 seconds longer for that Raptor to hit 60, and that trend continues as you go down a quarter-mile strip. The Wrangler, again, like sports car time down that quarter-mile strip at 12.9 seconds. 2 seconds later, you can say hi to your friend in the Raptor. And there's a lot to this, right? And we're going to start diving into the opinions, but it's good to get the facts out of the way on the straight line performance. You even take it up like the cops in the mirror. You just did a quarter mile with your buddy. It's time to slow down. The braking in the Wrangler, I believe, is quite a bit better. wasn't just a thought, it is true that wrapping up talking about performance, that Wrangler does indeed accelerate faster in every aspect of the equation. It also stops about 13 feet faster from a 60 to 0. But now let's take performance out of the equation and let's talk specifically cosmetics, outside design. And Austin, this blue just has me all worked up. Man, does this thing look cool. Not only the color, but also the decals.
Yeah, this does have the Code Orange package on it, which brings, of course, the orange on the wheels, the graphics on the side, all of this incredibly cool accent coloring on the interior. And my goodness, does this thing turn heads like nothing I've ever been in. It sticks out. I mean, like a sore thumb on the road. It's big, it's bright, it's blue and orange. The thing is awesome, and I think when it comes to styling on these two specs, this one takes it hands down.
Austin, it's not only styling that's appealing to me on this Raptor, it's just the mere fact of what the Raptor represents. Now, starting MSRP on these two vehicles, let's just call it right at $90,000. But what you get with the Raptor compared to every other Bronco on the market is a specialty designed, a specialty equipped, a specialty engineered vehicle that stands out from any other Bronco on the road, any other trim level.
We actually have a video on our channel comparing the Wild Track Bronco to the Bronco Raptor, and it's very interesting comparing those two vehicles, just how unbelievably different they are. Yeah, there's a $20,000 difference between the two, but for example, if we were to compare a Sahara Wrangler to the Wrangler 392, there's a lot more similarities than you might think.
That is very good points. Obviously, the Raptor has some of those things to let you know that this is a big, bad, purpose-built machine. From the 37-inch tires to the hood bulge to the color accent matching wheel, bead lock capable wheels to the tow hooks.
To the extremely wide body at all four corners, like this thing is thick.
And let's not forget those clearance lights that remind you that this thing is mean, wide, and ready to get down.
And it feels the same way when you are behind the wheel of this as it does in the Wrangler. You get that same feeling of this is not like the other Broncos. There's so many differences where if we hop over into the Wrangler, it can be pretty similar. Speaking of the Wrangler, let's go talk about that right now. I will admit I got a little bit more worked up firing up the Wrangler than I did firing up the Bronco. The sound of this 6.2 is absolutely phenomenal, and it definitely makes this thing feel like a toy right off the bat. It just feels like a Wrangler with a big old V8 in it. I mean, and that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, Austin, I will agree. When Austin came to pick me up in the 392, not only did he have a massive smile on his face as he grinned at me through the window, but also when I heard that 392 pull up next to me, it's hard not to smile at this thing. Like, this is the stupid toy that kids dream of, and that exhaust note, that V8, it just helps, like it makes the vehicle, right? Because
it literally just feels like a big toy, and that's what's so fun about the Wrangler. The issue with it is that's all it feels like, in my opinion, and that's kind of all it looks like too. It doesn't stick out from the other Wranglers unless you know what you're looking for. Unlike the Raptor over there, it's super wide. It's got all these crazy accents on it. The Wrangler looks like another Wrangler, and then I see the 392 badge on the hood and I'm like, oh, that's got a big V8 in it.
Yeah, not only can you see that badge, but you can obviously hear it. You know, we are a little bit smaller here in the Wrangler as well. We only have those 34.5-inch tires approximately, so about 2.5 inches smaller than what that Bronco Raptor represents. We do have that hood bulge that from behind the wheel, it does make you feel like you're driving something special, and if you pop the hood and see that cram 392 in there, it's hard to deny that, or just make you scratch your head a little bit on how did they get this thing in here. Bringing up the next point of the suspension, right? On the Raptor, we have this purpose-built, absolutely amazing looking Fox suspension. I think it's like the Haas 4.0, if my memory's correct. Anyways, that thing is incredible. Where you come over to the Wrangler, and the only reason you really have a different suspension over here is because they had to move the suspension mounting points to cram that 392 in there, which that's interesting. Austin, we have to go back and look at all the plastic engineering to try to keep this 392 cool, which is underneath the hood. I think we're starting to see a trend here. Not only from a cosmetic standpoint do we have a purpose-built Raptor that's specific to that $90,000 and trying to justify that $90,000 price tag. we also have that purpose-built suspension, more from the Baja standpoint, but this is a suspension you can't find in any other Bronco product, whereas over here in the 392, there's a lot of similarities when you're just talking about other Rubicon trims.
It's very hard to justify hopping inside of the Bronco here and everything feeling so unbelievably exclusive, and not only on the inside but on the outside too. There's so many things that make it identifiable of being something special over the lower trims that make it stick out, that you immediately notice going down the road, hey, that's a Bronco Raptor.
Right.
It's special, it looks cool, it's bigger, it's badder. You look under it and you start realizing that there isn't even a component that's shared with the lower trims. You get on the inside of it and you realize just how many little details that they put into this thing to make it feel so much different. And the Wrangler feels like a Wrangler with a V8 in it.
Austin, hang on. Now that you've talked about the inside, this is a perfect opportunity to transition in there. Now we hop into the Wrangler here and oh my word, Austin, there's a new screen, like a 12-inch screen. Woo! That's horizontally mounted. Other than that, I feel like I've been in the same Wrangler for the past 5, 6, 7 years. Obviously, there's been some minor updates throughout the years, but the Wrangler has been a very similar, identifiable vehicle for many, many years. We all know that. And that ride quality with those solid live axles front and rear, we know about that story, right? We know everything there. The seats are cool. The seats are right? The fact that they have the stitching that says 392, that's fun, that's cool. They are comfortable seats. However, when you sit behind the wheel of this vehicle, when you slam the door, when you take in the quality of the material, when you start touching things, when you look up at the roof and you understand the quality of the sound deadening on those tops, when you get into the back seat and you realize that the sound bar that goes from driver to passenger side is blocking your view, kind of giving a claustrophobic feel to the back seat, you start to understand that this Wrangler at $90,000+ feels exactly the same as a Wrangler at $40,000. All the touch points essentially do feel really cheap. They feel like they're a lower quality. And I don't know that we can say the same thing, Austin, when we hop into the driver's seat of the Bronco. The quality of the seats, the design that went into them, the different stitching, the different color patterns, the different colors in the dashboard, the full digital instrument cluster, all of this makes you feel like you're not only in a extreme off-road Baja rig, but you're also in something that has some good quality to it.
Well, Dad, without further ado, I think that pretty much sums up what we think about the outside and insides of these things. Now let's talk about what we think of hopping behind the wheel and taking them for a spin. All right, guys. Listen to that. I am in a Jeep Wrangler right now, and it feels like I'm in a Scat Pack. That sound is absolutely intoxicating. The shifts are a lot of fun through that 8-speed transmission. It shifts pretty quick. The paddles aren't nearly as enjoyable to play around with as they are in the Raptor, since there's just this little top half. It actually takes away a lot from the enjoyment of even having them, so I'm not even playing around with them, to be honest. Just they're not that good. The Bronco takes that by a long shot. But holy cow, guys, I can't believe, like, this is a big lifted Wrangler on 35-inch tires. It should not be this planted around corners. It should not have as much feedback through the steering wheel as this. It should not, almost somewhat in a way, do I dare say, I mean, the turn-in is almost sports car-like. There's not incredible body roll. It's very impressive. It's actually a lot of fun behind the wheel. And my goodness, how in the world do you ever get over that sound? But once it's up at a roll, it's not all that quick. But I can assure you, when it's at a stop, just take a peek here. It is no slouch. Cruising around, driving in the Wrangler. The Wrangler is a lot stiffer of a chassis than I experience in the Bronco. I think that might have to do with the solid axles that the Wrangler is still sitting on here. But overall, it's just a lot stiffer. It's a lot more rugged. It's not nearly as boaty as a feel, and that's not a bad thing. like not bad towards the Bronco. The Bronco's honestly a more comfortable vehicle driving around, but I'll admit, driving this around, taking this around corners, this is definitely a little bit more fun to throw in corners than the Bronco is. The Bronco isn't as, do I say nimble as the Wrangler? Not like it really matters, right? These are big lifted off-road buggies. It's too bad we don't have the opportunity to take these off-road. I'd love to experience that, but I mean, on-road and around town, I think the Bronco wins for comfort. Now that I am inside of the Bronco Raptor, I have some GOAT modes to choose from. I actually have some selectable drive modes, which right off the bat kind of makes it more fun or exciting. That it gives me some different selectable drive modes that totally change the personality of this motor. Let's go ahead and drive it the same way I just drove that Wrangler. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I was not expecting this whatsoever, just, you know, because it's a 392. This puts me back to my seat the exact same amount that the Wrangler did. And the downshifts are way more fun. I get the Wrangler's engine sounds better, but this doesn't sound bad. I think this is more fun to drive than the Wrangler. I'm very impressed at how unbelievably fun Bronco Raptor is. These paddles are phenomenal. It makes it so engaging to drive. They're instantaneous. This 10-speed transmission is very quick. All of the tech inside of here that just makes it feel so driver-oriented. This thick bolstered steering wheel, the feel I have behind the wheel, it's a little bit boaty in here for sure, but it's still really responsive. Like, this thing's a lot of fun, actually. Overall, there's a little bit more body roll inside of the Bronco Raptor. However, it's still very precise and it holds the road great. And ultimately, the ride is so much better that the preciseness and more sportiness feel of the Wrangler, I don't really care about. There's so many fun gimmicks in here that make it so fun while driving that the Wrangler simply doesn't have. The Wrangler's just a Wrangler with a big engine in it, where this is engineered to be a Baja racer is what it ultimately feels like.
It was a lot of fun ripping these down the road, from the exhaust notes to just feeling the power that both of these beasts have. It was a pretty good time. I would say that your description was accurate, right? So the Wrangler feels stiffer because it is. I think you're completely accurate in saying that. And from a daily driving standpoint, that makes complete sense. And the fact that from a daily driving standpoint, the Raptor almost feels a little, you know, kind of like, woo. You can almost guarantee, though, that if you start pushing this thing, it's going to hold its own, because remember, this is meant to go high speed off jumps, like over irregular terrain where we have more of the rock crawler build, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting driving the two of these vehicles back to back. It really just, once again, goes to show how much more engineering and time and effort they put into making this thing the ultimate Baja rig versus, again, like we've brought up multiple times, stuffing a V8 in a Wrangler. And that's what's got us both scratching our head here, being as if, my kind of thoughts are, why are these vehicles at the same price point? I almost feel like this is in another level than the Wrangler over here. The Wrangler over here is a Wrangler Rubicon with a V8 in it. The Bronco Raptor over here is an extremely exclusive Baja rig that everything is one-off to, that everything is special about, that stands out like nothing else. And that's a Wrangler with a V8 in it.
Yeah, so check this out, right? I looked at and glanced at the 2022 article put out by Motor Trend comparing the Raptor to the Wrangler. It was kind of fun after formed our opinion to see what the opinions were there. And there was a lot of stuff that aligned. But one thing that they said in this article was that the Wrangler was $10,000 more than the Raptor at the time. And that was the only reason that they chose the Raptor. I completely disagree. Yeah. My opinion is that Wrangler would have to be like $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 less than the Raptor for it to be appealing to me.
I would fully agree. The only thing that is truly enjoyable to me about the Wrangler over the Raptor here, and I'm not even a diehard Ford fan. I love Mopar products. This is not me. Like, I love all makes, models, whatever. It's just The Wrangler as a whole needs a refresh. It's ready to be redone. The Bronco's on a fresh platform. It was built specifically to take that on. It was built to beat that out in every way possible. That is better at rock crawling. It is. I think there's no getting around the fact that the solid axles, the whole suspension setup, that is going to be better at rock crawling if you modify it. But every single thing out of the box on the Raptor is a better bang for your buck, in my opinion, and that is why I am going to choose the Bronco Raptor in my $100,000 ultimate off-roader purchase.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was way more fun checking out both of these vehicles today. Way more fun than I anticipated. And obviously I got to hang out with my amazing son and you guys. Thank you for tuning in to the video today on Performance on Wheels. We greatly appreciate it. We will see you next time.